Imagine stepping outside your home, only to come face to face with one of the most fearsome predators on Earth, a massive polar bear, hungry, aggressive and ready to attack. Now imagine that beast lunging straight for your loved one. What would you do? Would you run? Would you freeze in terror? Or would you do the unthinkable? Risk your own life to save them? In today's episode, we bring you the jaw-dropping story of a man who defied all odds, throwing himself onto a raging polar bear to protect his wife. It's a rare and terrifying encounter that proves just how unpredictable and deadly nature can be. Stay tuned, because this is one savage tale you won't believe. Welcome to Savage Tales Animal Encounters, where we dive deep into the most intense, shocking and heart-stopping real-life encounters between humans and the wild. From deadly predators lurking in the shadows to miraculous escapes from nature's fiercest creatures, we bring you the wildest stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. If you love gripping survival stories, if you crave adrenaline-pumping encounters, then make sure you hit that like button to show your support. But don't stop there. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another wild story. Turn on that notification bell so you're always the first to witness the most savage tales from the animal kingdom. And we want to hear from you. Comment below and tell us, what would you do if you came face to face with a predator like this? Would you fight, flee or freeze? Let's get the conversation started. Also, share this video with your friends because, trust me, they won't believe this insane encounter actually happened. Every click, like and comment helps us grow and bring you even more incredible true-life encounters. Now buckle up and prepare yourself for another unforgettable wild encounter, because in the animal kingdom, survival is never guaranteed. This is Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. It was a bitterly cold morning in Fort Severn First Nation, one of the most remote and northernmost communities in Ontario, Canada. The sky was a deep, inky black, with only the faintest glow of dawn peeking over the horizon. A biting wind howled through the frozen landscape, carrying with it the eerie silence of the Arctic wilderness. Snow crunched beneath heavy boots as a married couple stepped outside their modest home, bundled up against the brutal chill. It was just after 5 a.m., and the world around them was still asleep, except for the distant howls of their sled dogs, whose frantic barking cut through the quiet like an alarm. Something was wrong. The couple had been raising and training sled dogs for years, using them for transportation across the treacherous northern terrain. Their animals were well disciplined, but that morning their barks carried a tone of urgency, fear even. Concerned, the husband and wife exchanged worried glances before stepping farther out into the darkness, their breath curling in white plumes as they moved toward the source of the commotion. Their small community, nestled along the desolate shores of Hudson Bay, was no stranger to the presence of polar bears. These powerful predators, rulers of the Arctic, were known to wander into human settlements from time to time, particularly in the lean months when sea ice was scarce and food was difficult to find. But attacks? Those were rare. The couple, like many in the region, had grown up respecting the dangers of the wild, knowing that an encounter with a hungry bear could turn deadly in an instant. Still, in the back of their minds, they hoped the disturbance was nothing more than a stray animal or perhaps a wolf that had wandered too close to their property. But as they made their way toward the dogs, their unease deepened. The air felt heavier, charged with an invisible tension. The barking had become more frenzied, almost desperate, and then movement. A hulking shadow shifted in the darkness just beyond the dim glow of their porch light. At first, it was difficult to make out, blending seamlessly with the snow-covered ground. But then, as their eyes adjusted, the realization hit them like a thunderclap. A massive polar bear was watching them. Its towering frame, easily over 1,000 pounds, stood deathly still only a short distance away. Its powerful muscles rippled beneath thick white fur as it took slow, deliberate steps forward, nostrils flaring as it caught their scent. Dark, intelligent eyes locked onto the couple, unblinking, assessing. In that split second, their worst fear became a reality. This was no casual encounter. This bear wasn't merely passing through, it was hunting, and in an instant it lunged. What happened next was nothing short of unbelievable. In a desperate act of bravery, the husband did something no one could have expected. He threw himself directly onto the back of the charging predator. In that moment of sheer chaos, instinct took over. Without hesitation, the husband launched himself onto the massive predator, his body colliding against the bear's thick fur with a force that barely seemed to faze it. His arms wrapped around its broad, muscular shoulders in a desperate attempt to slow its momentum. But the sheer power of the beast was like trying to wrestle a freight train. The bear let out a deep, guttural roar, a sound that vibrated through the frozen air, primal and terrifying. The impact of the man's weight threw the bear slightly off balance, giving his wife just enough time to scramble backward, falling into the snow as she gasped for breath. But the bear, now enraged, twisted its massive head and clamped its powerful jaws onto the man's arm. A sickening crunch echoed through the icy dawn as its dagger-like teeth tore through layers of thick winter clothing, puncturing flesh and muscle with horrifying ease. The man screamed in agony, his body thrashing as he tried to free himself. The bear's claws, razor-sharp, curved like scythes, swiped at him with brutal force, raking across his legs and torso. Blood stained the pristine snow beneath them, steaming in the cold air. He could feel the unbearable pressure of the bear's jaws tightening, threatening to shatter bone. His wife, paralyzed with terror, watched as the love of her life fought against impossible odds. But she knew she couldn't just stand there. She had to do something. With adrenaline surging through her veins, she stumbled to her feet, frantically scanning the ground for anything that could be used as a weapon. Then her eyes landed on a snow shovel leaning against the side of their house. Without thinking, she grabbed it and charged forward, swinging wildly at the bear's massive head. Clang! The metal shovel struck the bear's thick skull with a dull thud, barely making an impact. The beast barely flinched, its focus still locked onto its prey. She swung again and again, screaming at the top of her lungs, hoping to distract the animal for even a second. And then a gunshot rang out. A neighbor, awakened by the commotion, had spotted the horrific scene unfolding and rushed outside with a rifle in hand. He took aim and fired again. The bullet struck the bear's shoulder, causing it to let out a deafening roar of pain. For the first time, the massive predator hesitated, its dark eyes darting between the wounded man, the frantic woman, and the armed neighbor. Another shot. This time the bullet tore into the bear's side, and the beast finally reacted. With a deep, rumbling growl, it released the man, shaking its head furiously before turning and retreating into the darkness. The massive predator lumbered off, blood trailing behind it as it disappeared into the nearby wooded area. The husband collapsed into the snow, gasping, his body trembling from shock and blood loss. His wife fell to her knees beside him, pressing her hands against his wounds, whispering words of reassurance even as tears streamed down her face. Authorities arrived within minutes, alerted by the neighbor's gunfire and the wife's panicked screams. Paramedics worked quickly, wrapping the man's bloodied arms and legs in thick bandages, trying to stabilize him before rushing him to the nearest medical facility. He had sustained serious injuries, deep lacerations, puncture wounds and broken bones. But miraculously, he would survive. As for the bear, it didn't make it far. The injuries from the gunshots proved fatal, and by the time authorities located it in the dense forest, the massive predator had succumbed to its wounds. Its lifeless body lay motionless in the snow, a stark reminder of the deadly power of the Arctic's top predator. In the days that followed, the small community of Fort 7 was left shaken. Polar bear attacks were rare, but when they happened, they were merciless. Wildlife experts suggested that the bear had likely been nutritionally stressed, driven inland by the increasing loss of sea ice, its natural hunting grounds disappearing due to climate change. The husband, now hailed as a hero, had done the unthinkable. He had thrown himself onto a polar bear to save his wife's life. Would you do the same? Wow, what a harrowing and unbelievable story of survival. This man's courage and split-second decision to throw himself onto a rampaging polar bear is nothing short of extraordinary. It's a chilling reminder that in the wild, instinct takes over, and survival comes down to split-second choices. But now, we want to hear from you. What would you do in a situation like this? Would you stand your ground, try to scare the bear away? Or would you risk it all like this man did? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one and love hearing your take on these insane real-life encounters. If you enjoyed this intense and gripping story, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps us bring you more jaw-dropping tales from the wild. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of wildlife enthusiasts, survivalists and thrill seekers. But don't stop there. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Savage Tales Animal Encounters. Because trust me, we have even more shocking and mind-blowing survival stories coming your way. And finally, share this video with your friends and family, because this is a story that needs to be seen to be believed. Who knows? One day this knowledge could save a life. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of Savage Tales Animal Encounters. We bring you the wildest, most intense and most unforgettable stories of real-life animal encounters every single week. So stay safe, stay aware, and always respect the power of the wild, because in the animal kingdom, survival is never guaranteed. This is Savage Tales Animal Encounters.